Welcome. This is Zangler, the Tesla Semi Advocate, welcoming you to another Giga Semi drone video. This video was shot Monday, March 18th, 2025, around 4 p.m., and it's titled Stamping Steel Goes Vertical, and it's in reference to Section G. The Section A, B, C, D, E, and F have been completed quite a while ago, back in December. And we have been watching the stamping pit and all of the complicated work to prepare the foundation for the stamping machines. And I had flown on Saturday, March 15th, and I had seen a lot of steel being positioned. And so I thought I'd fly again 3 days later and see what was up. By the way, that area we just looked at is being prepped, and as you can see at the very end of this video, if you stick through to the end, I have renderings provided by Tesla and Dan Priestley, the head of the semi program, that show that area that we just saw being prepped will contain tanks. And what those tanks are for, we're not quite sure yet. Okay, here we go. BZI is in the house. BZI has come back. The BZI equipment that was not on site for about a month is back, maybe longer than a month, but anyway, it's back. I ran a poll to see how many columns had gone vertical, and by the looks of this, for a long time I thought the answer was 4, and that the people who guessed between 1 and 4 would be correct. But hang tight, there's more to come. By the way, look at the size of those beams. Those are amazingly beefy beams compared to anything we've seen in the rest of the building. And I don't know, I'm speculating that those are going to span almost in the entire building. There's been pretty much the columns are equidistant apart, but in this case, they may be going much further. A lot of this video focuses on this work right here with the BZI proprietary telehandlers and installation of these beams as they start building out this building, and they usually run pretty quick. I've noticed a few things about those columns, in that they have those little angled pieces of metal at the bottom right corner and at the top left, and no doubt they're going to have cross members providing extra stability. Again, I don't believe we have seen that anywhere else in this building. These are the heaviest columns, beams, and no doubt the trusses will be extra heavy duty also. What you're looking at right there is the Skybraces. It's part of the BZI process for providing structural stability for these columns until enough of them have been put in place that they support each other. And we're going to come back and see a lot more detailed activity of them working on those, installing a Skybrace. And it'll be more Skybrace action than you've ever seen before. And I decided to just linger and watch that. This was a 2-battery drone flight. I almost left after 1 battery and decided that I would stay and get additional coverage. And that was when I got some detailed footage of them installing that Skybrace. Again, so far, we've only seen 4 columns, and I can tell you that is not the final count. The other interesting thing that you'll see at the very end of this video, in those 2 renderings, one from the north and one from the south, is that the very southwest end of this new Section G is not exactly 2 stories, but it's taller than the rest of the building, and that is exactly the area above the stamping machines. So this area right here we're looking at, I cross-checked to make sure, is still going to be the same height as the existing main building. But as we get over to the left, the building will be taller, and it'll be interesting to see how they do that. And will they install single super longer columns than they have used heretofore, or will they be like two-part columns that attach to each other? Probably the former for strength. Anyway, you're going to get, if you like steel and construction, you're going to get plenty of it here. So now we take a little moment and look over at the main stamping pit and the progress that's happening here. Another thing we should do is, I was not sure that, it looks to me like one of our viewers is correct, and that lower part of that stamping pit is actually going to be outside of the main perimeter of the building. Now, I do know that the section G extends further south than the rest of the building, but I don't think it extends that much further south that it won't leave some of that exposed. So you can see the furthest column footing is well inside of this little section that sticks out. Can't wait to see all this come together. And sadly, once those are the piers that will support columns, and here's the other smaller stamping pit. But sadly, if they complete the building and put the roof on it, we won't see the stamping equipment unless Tesla decides to let us see what's going on inside there. What else was I going to say? I had something that I thought was pretty interesting. Oh yeah, we'll see currently, I believe I spotted the Mezmaster on the far end of the property, and they'll have to set up the panel table if they're going to continue to roof this thing using the Mezmaster as opposed to cranes like typical building construction might, which is one of the reasons why this building has been, the construction investment for this building from Tesla is considerably less and pretty much state-of-the-art. Tesla runs this project. They do not have a general contractor. They are the general contractor. They build the machine that builds the machine. And they're one of the things that they excel at, one of many things they excel at. And so we'll see. And what would really be super cool is if you have seen, BZI has an even larger piece of equipment, larger than the Mezmaster, called the, what is it called? It's giant. I apologize. I had it on the tip of my tongue. It'll probably come back to me in a minute here. The something Trackzilla, and I have included it in a previous video, but it is similar to the Mezmaster, much bigger, dwarfs the Mezmaster in size, and has 4 tracks instead of wheels. So here's a good look at the entire building, Giga Semi building. This is the high volume building, and look at that. That looks like a lunch building, and that hasn't been around for that long. And then I'm going to take a good look at the mountain to make sure I don't run into it, even though I do have obstacle detection on this DJI drone. Nice look around at the surrounding area. That is one of the twin buildings that are being constructed, and that right there, that black speck, is is my drone support vehicle, and that is the Tesla Semi Advocate standing next to it, flying the drone. This is the far east section of the building. You can see that there is a slope to the building, and the water will drain to the north and to the south, and then out via stormwater management pipe that was laid way back in last year. Over to the right, you may see that is the Mesmaster behind those two water tanks. And those chemical tanks or industrial tanks, those have been moved. We had spoken about them previously, and they've been moved. And we'll keep track, and we'll see if they get moved inside or if they go to that area at the opening where they were preparing a foundation and a slab, I should say, and where the renderings show several tanks. Those tanks on the rendering don't look like that. I do recall that. More equipment here, connexes, and I wanted to take a look at the new entrance to Giga, Nevada, the Giga Semi entrance. And in one of the plans that we saw, that temporary guard shack won't be positioned there. The permanent guard shack won't be there, but rather you will be able to drive in, and then just below the screen, what we're looking at will be a guard shack. And I think one of the roads will go up over to Giga Nevada Legacy, the Legacy Giga Nevada, and then the other one will go here to the Tesla Giga Semi building, high volume construction. More culverts, more ditches have been dug, and you'll see quite a bit of work in prepping the loading bays, and it looks like the loading bays will slope down and to their location rather than being flat. The other thing you'll notice is that many windows have been installed at this point, and they're moving right along and installing windows. Looking forward to seeing what gets put up on those support columns there on the roof, probably for HVAC equipment. Here is a couple telehandlers working on prepping for the window installation. These are fully installed windows in all of those openings. I think the last time we were here, only 3 of those 6 were there. And then once again, this section has been completed with all windows. All the loading bay doors are there, and there you can see that slope I was talking about, how it is graded down to the loading dock doors. They've dug around the stormwater management access pipes, whatever you want to call them, and those right there, they've dug around them in some locations, and I'm not sure if they actually positioned them too high and they're going to lower them, or if there's some other reason and they are going to backfill up to that level. I would imagine that those manhole covers will be at grade so that you can drive right over them. These are the guardrails that were put up a few weeks ago, and more trenching. All this trenching, I think, is new since last week. It goes all the way over to the edge of the property there, which is the western perimeter of the Tesla property. Now, this is post battery change. So I've come back, almost left, and then I said, nope, we're going to get more footage of the entire factory, but especially we're going to zoom in on the work being done on the steel columns, beams, and there's no trusses yet, but we're going to get a really in-depth look at the Skybrace installation. You can see there what I mean about how they dug around that manhole, 2 of them. By the way, I am going to be unable to fly for about 12 days. So when I come back from a trip, I imagine there'll be a ton of work. Maybe we'll do another poll, but in 10 days, they may have all of the columns up. And I apologize that we're going to miss some good stuff, but life goes on. Another look around before I fly over to the to where they're putting up the steel. We just went past 550 Milan, and if you looked real closely, there was some Tesla semis getting ready to go on their evening shift. I believe they are currently running in the evening out to Lovelock and back twice per shift. Beautiful shot of the American flag. That poor flag gets beat up because in northern Nevada, we get some serious wind. And it has been windier this last month or two than even I am used to, having lived here for about 6 years now. That's the area where they're prepping for tanks. And when we get back, that'll probably be poured. And who knows, they may even have installed or beginning to install some of the tanks. Again, stay tuned. If you stay all the way through the end, we'll look at the renderings and try to correlate that to what we're seeing now. By the way, notice, I never got to it, but notice up above 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 additional columns have been installed. So the 4 that we saw originally, plus those 5, make 9. So the winner is, on that poll, I labeled 5 to 9 insane speed. And anything above 10 I would have called ludicrous speed. So they're installing these presently at insane speed. There on the ground there's 2 Skybraces already installed, providing structural stability to these columns. This large BZI branded, and you can see their branding on both of these pieces of equipment. The one there is still chained up to the column, holding it, and they need to keep holding it until such time as they get that Skybrace installed. And as we watch this Skybrace installation, of all the videos, we've seen tons of Skybraces, but we've never seen this kind. We've never had it timed right where we got to see them installing it. One of the things I learned about it, and we'll fly around to the other side, is that they lift up the top of the Skybrace, they attach it to the column, and then they put the base in. And as we come around, you'll see the other bases. So that sort of answers a curiosity I had about how, whether they put those bases in and then the Skybraces are actually adjustable in length. It looks to me like they're fixed length. They attach it at the top, and then they build the box around it, that supporting box, which you can see just to the right. And no doubt with some giant stakes that go into the ground that keep it from moving. Right now they're getting the straps ready. This gentleman or construction worker, should make no assumptions, is on that telehandler, and he's positioning to bolt the Skybrace up to the column. And I do run out of battery before this entire operation is complete. But what will happen is once they get that Skybrace installed, which they're quite a ways away from, like I said, once they get the top installed, then they have to put the base in at the bottom. Then they can remove the chain and move on to the next one. It does look like they'll continue in a southerly direction here, and another team is working from west to east right next to the building where we saw the 5 extra columns that are installed into special footings, by the way, that we noticed when they were building it. We knew they were going to add extra building here because the footings were double footings, one right next to the other, allowing 2 columns to be put in right next to each other. Which another interesting thing about the building is each of these buildings is each of those 6 sections, A, B, C, D, E, and F, are basically independent structures with a little bit of flashing to connect them, but they're separate. They're separate structurally, and they don't attach to each other in any structural manner. They're only connected to each other by the walls and the roof, and then the little caps that they put over them. But they're not. They're separate. Hope that makes sense. Down below, the gentleman is is preparing the Skybrace to be lifted into place, and any moment we should start moving around to the other side of it for a different perspective. And look at the size of those columns. That's the next column that they're going to move to. I would have loved to be able to stay. So it's probably 4:30 p.m. I would love to know if they're going to put that next column up. And if I was a betting man, I would say they are going to at least put one more column up. When they were putting up the steel and the roof on the first 6 sections, it almost seemed like they were in some sort of race. They were just hauling. As you can see, they're lifting that Skybrace up, and now you can see you get a good look at the bases on those other 2 Skybraces and how there is no base in place as of yet for this Skybrace. They will attach it to the top, and then they will position the base at the bottom. And there's the base right there. You can see that base is to the right of the column. And that may not be the base for this Skybrace. It might be the brace position for the next Skybrace, and we can't actually see the base for this Skybrace. So I am about to run out of battery, and luckily this drone, when it gets low on battery, it gives you about a 10-second warning, and then it returns to base. It returns to the drone port. You can see here that the one chain is still holding up the column, and separately they're lifting up that Skybrace into place. Something they've done dozens and dozens and dozens of times already. And there is where we ran out of battery, and the drone is returning to the drone port. On the left they're actually making pretty darn good progress, and I imagine that it won't be long. I will have to relocate the drone port to another advantageous location where I can keep an eye on the drone and have a good perspective. Looking straight down on this section, and you can see some of that work being done around those manhole covers. Milan Avenue, and the very unimproved drone port. Thank you for joining, and I hope you enjoy these videos. And there will be, I'll just play the music from here on in and let you watch the renderings and compare it to what we've just been watching. Thank you.